Good afternoon. My name is Norman Clarke, and as you can see, I'm a musician. I'm from South London, deepest Brixton, for many years, and just want to give you like a little bit of a background to how I knew Brother John, and to sort of show you the impact he had on many of us South London musicians. So in the early 90s, if I'm correct, the SA gospel and concert scene was in doldrums, and everyone was sort of scattered across the southeast in pockets, doing their own thing. But then came along Brother John, who took it upon himself to host gospel concerts in London on a scale never seen before in the SA church, and very seldom matched to this day. His formula was this: to hire out concert halls in Acton and Chiswick, so forth, and invite soloists, groups and choirs from all over London and the southeast: Chiswick, Croydon, Brixton, East London, Holloway, High Wycombe, and proceeds would go to charitable causes. It was here that I met Brother John. He asked me to play piano solo performances, so we had a long, fruitful association where practically every concert he promoted, I would support him musically. Sometimes playing with people like Jeff Duggan, who's a son of Chiswick, and Brother John himself on saxophone, and Cheryl Saunders as well, an American singer. I must say, one day he shocked all of us when, because most men his age would turn up to a concert in a grey suit and, deacon uniform. And he turned up in a bright orange suit. I'd never seen anything like that in my life. I said, my gosh, this man, he's my father's age and he had style and fashion, so we knew this man was not the regular. And after a few concert successes, the concerts were sold out and packed out. The audiences started to dwindle after a while, and Brother John began to reach out to me, asking if he could book my band, because at that point I wasn't solo anymore. I'd had a functioning band. Problem is, when I told him the price, he jumped out of his skin. He was like, this is for charity, this is for God, this is the Lord's work. And I just wouldn't budge. And so we didn't fall out or anything, but he went the A road and I went the B road. But after a couple of more concerts where he struggled, he reached out to my band again, and this time we cut a deal. And I have to say, an hour before the concert started, 90% of the seats were filled, half an hour at least, 90% were filled, and Brother John was just grinning from ear to ear. And after, during the break, he was now ushering us. We were like stars. He was like, oh, we've done so well, and he was ushering us to get food, and it was like, move, get out of the way, get ready for the band, And it's just amazing to we just had a really good relationship. Anyway, it must be said that he was a man of courage, not afraid to buck the norm. And I was in disbelief at his dedication to music and promotion. He not only travelled with an impressive PA system, but owned a massive van to transport it. This is what most folks don't see, the personal expenses that musicians have to incur to provide such services. I remember his sons and Brother Gene rushing around the concert halls, laying the cables and setting up the mics. But it was a very slick operation. And many called on his services for PA hire. I'd be involved with other concerts, say, who are we going to get for PA? And they say, Brother John. And you could, you turn up with a big van and, always a good sound. And again, look at the expense he went to for very little thanks. Nobody really saw what he was doing or how much went into it. We often look forward to his concerts as an opportunity to meet other folk from around the southeast that we generally otherwise wouldn't meet. He even unwittingly hosted the great choir war between East London Choir and Holloway Youth Choir. And there was this rivalry between the two choirs, and it all came to a head in one of Brother John's concerts, almost fisticuffs. And all of this was over a song that neither of them wrote. they both, I think, learnt the same song and sung it on the same day, and that just wasn't on, but they didn't write the song. He brought so many folk together from over the southeast. Towards the end, it became increasingly difficult to fill the 1,000-seater halls, but every time there was a hurricane or tsunami, he would rally to the call and put on a concert to raise funds. Don't forget that all of this was out of his own pocket, and any losses had to be shouldered by himself. At one point, I said to him, "Brother John, you'd be better off scrapping the concerts and just donate the money you spend on the cost. Just donate it to the charitable causes." This ran into thousands. Sometimes he would sometimes lose. He didn't tell me, but I could just reckon. But he paused and partially agreed with me, but then reminded me that the double benefit of a concert is to praise the Lord, and also a nice gospel evening out in London, where at that time nothing much else was happening. So he was very selfless in sometimes losing money just so people could have a good time. And I have to say, just a couple of months before he actually passed, his name came up with some of the South London musicians we were talking about, and we were reminiscing on Brother John's concerts, because nothing else has really been done, like filling a 1,000-seat hall. He's the only one to do it, so you can be very proud of that. And he'll have a lasting impact. One of the things I remember was a friend of mine, George Forbes, who's actually the cousin of the boxer Derek Sweet Williams. These are all deep Brixton people. He's not even Seventh-day Adventist, and he loved Brother John's concert so much that, again, in the 90s, the only thing you could recall, he would turn up an hour before and stand up waiting in a queue with a one foot wide ghetto blaster and sit down on the front row and record the whole concert. And concert after concert, he would come with this ghetto blaster. So he even affected people that weren't SDA. Anyway, to close, this man will go down in history for his contribution to music and gospel outreach concerts, not to mention his vision and inspiration to us younger musicians. We will never forget him, and Chiswick should be very proud of the things he achieved. I know his sons will be so proud of their father and the impact he had on musicians like myself and from South London. And as he sleeps, you can rest assured in the knowledge that he lived a very good life and inspired many. And you will see him again in the earth made new. Rest well, Brother John.